said not to drink a whole bottle of soda, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Hey dweebs, Brooke here, and if you're wondering what the hell was that intro, well, I finally updated Snapchat to the point where I can get that little code thing that you scan to add me, so I'll put that somewhere around here. And I'll also put it somewhere at the end of the video, this way if you guys want to follow me on Snapchat for whatever ridiculous reason, you can. Today's video is doing something that I'm a bit nervous about, just because it delves a bit too deep into my past, and while I'm not really embarrassed by this because I know I was young when I wrote it, I think some of my friends may be embarrassed that I'm sharing this with the world. When I was in 7th, maybe even 8th grade, I was basically the Tina Belcher from Bob's Burgers of my friends, and I wrote friend fiction. And this is actually a rewrite of the original one that I had posted and deleted. So it's supposed to be better, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot worse. None of the names are real, but the people they're based off of are real. And anything that gets too personal, I'm not going to read out loud, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because there are 7 chapters, and the sad thing is it's not even finished. But let's get started. Story 1, The Ferris Wheel. Okay, so this first story is about Tori and Victor. Tori sighed, letting the troubles of the recent school day fade. She lightly bobbed her head to the distant carnival music, enjoying its catchy tune. Tori! Hey, Tori! She spun around, her caramel-colored ponytail whipping the air. Quite the descriptive imagery. Victor flashed a dazzling smile before taking a few steps forward to meet her. "Where have you been?" he asked. "You seem distant. Something bugging you?" Tori eyed Victor's smile warily. There was always something sneaky in the casual pull of his lips. "Just letting the fair steal my soul, taking the pressures of 8th grade far, far away." He reached forward to place his hand on Tori's shoulder. His eyes ran over her shocked expression as he felt the violent shake of her body. He knew she liked his all-over warmth, but he would save it for later. Now was no time to sweep girls off their feet. He let his hand fall from her shoulder with a reassuring grin. "It's just 8th grade, babe. You'll get used to your last year of middle school before you know it." Tori rolled her eyes and pulled away from his touch willingly. "Don't call me babe, you disgusting perv." Well, I mean, at least I did something right. This is a bit later on in the first chapter, and my character comes in, and I guess I'm crying because the boy I like is at the fair with somebody else, and Victor says, "What does she even see in him? I hate how much he hurts her." "She loved him," Tori whispered. "We're 15. There is no love," said Victor. "Oh, really? So you don't see it in her eyes when she sees him? It's the same when he looks at her, but we're all too blind to notice." 15-year-old me was more prone to romantic bullshit than 19-year-old me. Next chapter. "You like this ride?" Victor asked, desperately trying to start a conversation. "It's okay. Could be longer," Tori sighed. She tightened her grip on the bar as they took the long descent down. They're on that pirate ship ride that... yeah. Victor smiled at her and gently set his hand on top of hers. "You're such a pretty girl," he purred. His voice was sweet and smooth like honey, and it was pulling Tori in. Ah! Okay, so now they're on the Ferris wheel. "Have fun," the man said as he closed them insecurely, "but not too much." Before either of them could reply, the machine swung backwards, bringing them immediately to the top. Victor's heart hammered crazily in his chest as he turned to face Tori. He knew what he wanted to do, what he had to do. What he felt was no lie. In italics, she was his everything. As he turned to face her, he received the sweetest surprise he could ever get. He could taste her sweet breath for the split second their lips were away, and then he could taste her lips. She had started the kiss, not him. That had to mean something. That means I hate myself. He pulled away to place his forehead against hers. Oh God, Tori, you don't know how bad I wanted to do that. Same here, she whispered. And then they were kissing again. It was lips, tongue, and soul. I'm crying. The simplicity of the moment was ignored as they danced with fire, excuse me. They wanted everything from each other, but kept back from anything other than lips. Victor's hand stayed politely on her face as he traced over her delicate, almost porcelain skin. I'm literally tearing up. This is so awful. I don't know if it's because it's so funny or if I'm just so angry at myself for letting this exist. This is only chapter 3. We have 4 more to go. Okay, so this is, I guess, later at night, and it's all of, we had a little group that was at the fair together, and this is us. I guess we're dancing in some unoccupied section of the fair. All of them were standing in an unoccupied corner when Tori couldn't help but to start dancing. Victor joined in soon after, laughing as Julia and Amber picked it up. They seemed to shake all feeling, all emotion right out of their systems. Everything was perfect, just as it should be. Victor placed his hands on Tori's shoulders, pushing her to stay still. "What are you doing?" she asked, finding no answers in his eyes. Showing you how much I love you. Okay, they're 15. Remember this. Keep this in mind. He whispered right before he swooped down and brought their lips together. Tori sighed as she tasted the cinnamon on his breath. Is he chewing gum? Was he eating a cinnamon bun? Brooke, I need answers. Everything around her was wiped out completely, leaving the two of them in a serene kind of silence. His hands were squeezing her hips lightly, urging her to move in closer. She took a few steps in, letting him engulf her completely. She wanted to melt inside of him, to stay a part of him forever. Did he eat her? Did he just eat her? Okay, so moving on to the next story, which is entitled Ice Cream. And, this is the worst thing I have ever written, and I don't necessarily mean quality-wise, I just mean, I don't know how I thought of this, and this was not about friends that, like, these are two people that I hardly knew, and that throughout the entirety of my middle school and even high school career, I probably spoke a total of 5 words to. If you're uncomfortable with a story about 2 boys being in love, then this is where you should stop watching, because they're in something. Jack slipped from the hood of his car as the deliciously sculpted body of his lover came into view. Just looking at the muscled figure had his mouth watering. "Hey, baby," he cooed, wrapping his arms around the sweet boy's waist. "You ready to go see everybody?" Juan smiled, a brilliant flash of his pearly whites. "I'm ready for anything as long as you're by my side." Together they leaned forward, embracing the warmth that came from the lip-to-lip contact. As they kissed, tongue to tongue, Jack couldn't help but to let his mind drown in the memories being there brought. Jack and Juan, OTP. This part is one that my friends will never let me live with, and I don't know how I thought of this, or why I thought it was okay, or why I thought the world and the internet needed to see it. I'll read it and you'll understand. So this is Juan's point of view, I guess. He thought of the way, and Jack is eating pizza. Okay, so he thought of the way Jack's teeth would clamp down violently onto the saucy bread as he pulled back, savoring the way the sauce tasted on his tongue. He thought of Jack's sneaky smile as he caught Juan staring. He thought of the taste of pizza sauce on Jack's lips as he kissed him open-mouthed. I don't understand. I have no explanation for this. So basically, the two boys go to get ice cream, and for some reason, this is what happens afterwards. That sealed it. Jack couldn't hold it any longer. He reached behind Juan's head, grabbed a fistful of his hair, and slammed his face down in the swirled ice cream. He then grabbed the cone, tossed it to the side, and licked the chocolate mess off of the beautiful boy's face. He saved his lips for last. At first, all he could taste was chocolate, but after a few minutes of teasing and prodding, he was finally able to taste the delicious taste of Juan. It was all that Jack had hoped for and more. He fisted the fabric of Juan's shirt, pulling him as close as physically possible. He was being rough. He didn't care if he was hurting Juan. He had waited long enough. He let his hands fall from the wrinkles of the boy's shirt so that he could squeeze lightly on the boy's hips. He moaned through the kiss. Juan pulled away for a second. He had something to say. "I love you. I've always loved you." Jack sighed before moving in for more. "And I always will love you." This is online. Like, I messaged the freaking website and asked if there was any way to block this from being seen by other people, and they still haven't gotten back to me. Alright, well, that's it for this video. I hope you guys laughed. You probably cried. I know I did, and I will leave this video crying because, there's like a whole fucking account of shit like this, but, anyway, I guess I'll see you hopefully next week, and until then, later dweebs.